Gas pipeline giant APA Group lifted its earnings by 2% in the recent financial year to $1.7 billion, and net profit jumped more than 10% to $287 million. During the year, it completed stage one of its East Coast grid expansion, which will help improve the transfer of gas across the country. APA also agreed to buy Alinta Energy's electricity generation assets in the Pilbara. I caught up with APA Group Chief Executive Adam Watson a little earlier.
Look, we've been around for a very long time as largely a gas pipeline organisation, transporting gas from a transmission perspective to get it to the distribution networks that eventually get the gas to your homes. Organisationally, though, we've been under a transformation over the last several years as the energy transition is ramping up as well, and we see great opportunity to build out our capability in areas like renewable power generation, batteries. Obviously, gas firming is going to play a critical role to build out the renewable power generation and electricity transmission. So a lot of people don't know we're already one of the largest players in renewable power generation. We already own a number of electricity transmission links and interconnectors, including Basslink, which connects Victoria to Tasmania. We do a lot of batteries and clearly a lot of gas firming as well to enable the ability to be able to bring renewable power generation to market.
You just explain how critical it is to move gas or LNG around the country quickly.
Yeah, it's both on the east coast and on the west coast of Australia now. We've effectively got grids. We've got transmission grids that can transport the gas around the various gas fields to the end users. The colder climates like Victoria, which have typically and still continue to be the biggest areas for demand, are now sourcing their gas from the northern states because the local gas fields are drying up. So they're bringing gas down from the Queensland areas, in particular the Northern Territory, and they're transporting it down on our pipelines. And similarly with LNG, so it's obviously a huge economic opportunity for Australia to continue to support the global demand for gas, and we do that through LNG, and we provide a lot of the pipelines for that market.
Yeah, let's talk global. I know Japan, Singapore, South Korea, they all buy a lot of Aussie LNG, but there's been some concerns recently around a lack of sort of cohesive policy on the energy front from Australia. Just how important is it to have a solid energy policy here to attract investment?
Yeah, we always say that to be an effective energy system, you need three things. It needs to be reliable, it needs to be affordable, and it needs to be low emissions. Clearly, we've got our own domestic obligations to be able to take coal out of the energy system, bring renewable power generation to market. And if you look anywhere in the world, and I can talk to that later, but if you look at anywhere in the world, you've got gas playing a critical role to firm up the renewable power generation when the sun doesn't shine and when the wind doesn't blow. So demand for gas in Australia is only going to continue to grow. We've actually got quite a low demand or supply, I should say, of gas for domestic consumption here. A lot of our domestic gas goes to the export market, as you said. And what we're seeing is a significant amount of pressure being put on the Australian government and on Australian industry to help places like Japan, South Korea, Indonesia, to decarbonise their own energy systems. They don't have the land to build out solar farms and wind farms. They're trying to get off coal. They're trying to get off diesel power generation. And gas is a very efficient way to bring energy to market really quickly. And it's a very low emissions, certainly on a relative level, low emissions energy source.
Yeah, well, we know Australia is slowly closing its coal-fired power stations. Liddell in the Hunter Valley shut earlier this year. Is there any immediate impact on gas demand when a big power generator like that leaves the grid?
Yeah, so gas is a critical player to provide reliability and stability in the grid. So you take coal out, which basically provides baseload. So it's always there. You walk into your home, you flick your switch on and power's there. And that's often because you've got this baseload of coal generation always providing energy. As you go into a more intermittent energy source, so renewable power generation, solar and wind, again, when the sun's not shining or the wind's not blowing, you need something to firm that up. And that's where gas plays that critical role. What's very unique about gas as well, very much unlike coal, is that you can turn these gas-fired power generators on really quickly. So you can turn them off and on, which means they're a lot more efficient as well.
Now, at your results, you announced you were purchasing Alinta Energy's power generation assets up in the Pilbara. Is this a bit of a shift in strategy for APA Group?
It's a refining of our strategy. So, again, we've been traditionally well known as a gas transportation business, but we know we've got a critical role to play in the energy transition, and we know we've got a unique opportunity because we can actually bundle all the services. I said before, we provide renewable power generation, we provide electricity transmission, and we can work with our customers to bundle that together. The real strategy around the Pilbara acquisition, the Alinta Pilbara acquisition, is working with the big mining companies who are all trying to come off diesel-fired power generation. They're trying to decarbonise their own operations, and we can work with them to bring renewable power generation, batteries, gas firming, electricity transmission as a bundled package for them.
Yeah, so who are the big customers that you're going to be servicing up there, and is that going to be the big focus, you think, for the mining sector over the next decade, just decarbonisation?
Absolutely. It's the likes of BHP, Fortescue Metals Group, Roy Hill, or the Hancock Group. So you're talking about some of the world's leading mining companies. And that's just the Pilbara region. We're also one of the big players in Mount Isa. We've actually just this year commissioned what is Australia's largest remote grid solar farm. It's called the Dougal River Solar Farm in Mount Isa. And we effectively provide all of the energy to the mining customers and the communities in Mount Isa through the renewable power generation firmed by gas. And we've got a similar strategy there with the Pilbara as those big mining companies are trying to decarbonise, as they're trying to come off diesel.
So how far into the future are we talking before your more power generation assets supersede the pipeline business?
Look, the pipeline business is still critical to the energy system, and we're convinced gas has got a very long role to play in the energy transition. Again, you can't bring renewable power generation to market without gas, and if we want to accelerate the removal of coal, you need to ensure that you're firming that renewable power generation with gas. So if anything, we see more gas coming to market, not less over time. Clearly, when we look at the remote grid and working with the big mining companies, they've got the same agenda. They're trying to come off diesel. They're trying to ensure, very importantly, that their operations are very reliable. We can't afford to be bringing renewable power generation in, and then when the sun doesn't shine, the mining site operation shuts down. It's just very inefficient for them to do that. So one of the things that they're trying to do is bundle that all together. So we see very strong growth in renewables, in power generation, and I think it's going to be a real complement to our existing gas transmission business.
One question we've been asking a lot of chief executives recently is about inflation. What's the biggest way you're feeling inflation in your business right now?
Yeah, we're certainly seeing inflationary pressure take hold on infrastructure delivery projects. So obviously a lot of that is labour, a lot of it is equipment supplies and materials, and it's flowing its way all the way through. One of the other things that we're very mindful of, particularly in the energy system, is that we're very much aware that energy is a household consumption matter, and industry in particular has got enough pressures without energy playing a role in that. And it's why we're very strong at advocating the removal of coal, the introduction of renewable power generation, the firming of gas, and bringing more supply to market to ensure that we can bring those costs down and ensure that we've got a sustainable future, both from an energy security perspective, from a cost perspective, and from an emissions perspective.
Well, Adam Watson, Chief Executive at APA Group, thanks so much for your time today.
Appreciate it. Thank you.